to go, Landon.
All right. Welcome everybody to week 11 of our little lesson series. I'm glad everybody's joining me today. If you've been to the last few, this one, we're keeping same theme, just kind of talking about the market in different ways that I just haven't seen talked about online. If you're new, that's a good little intro for you. But this week specifically, we're going over market structure decoded, right? Reading the big picture, right? So just to give a little bit of preferences. We're not going into, not going into simple things like, resistance, support, like things that I believe everybody who's watching this right now is familiar with, but rather kind of using them in different ways when it comes to developing a strategy, and then also just talking about, trading in general and some different things that, maybe you just haven't thought of. So we're going to go ahead and get started. In the first slide, I'm going to ask you guys a question. How much skill does it take to win a trade, right? Everybody, think about it for a second. I'll have reality, anybody who comments or anything, just put down, does it take a lot of skill? Does it take a little skill? Whatever metric you want to use, how much skill does it take to win a trade? Or you can say, it takes a year worth of practice, 2 years, whatever you guys think. Give you guys a second. See, maybe I can pull up. And reality, while I'm looking for those answers, how many people do we have in the live stream right now, just so I'm aware?
Aiken just said 50-50. We got 3 on YouTube, 1 on Rumble. Kick and Twitch are empty, but that's not unnormal.
Gotcha. All right, and what did Aiken say? He said 50-50?
50-50, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I assume that means skill to luck. All right. Then we'll go ahead and move on. And 0. So it actually takes 0 skill to win a trade. And when I say that, I really mean anybody can click buy or sell, and it can go to your take profit with 0 skill. Right. So, and then below, I'm going to read that off real quick. In a world, trading where it requires 0 skill to win an unlimited amount of money, it can go as high as it wants. It can go as low as it wants, depending on, that's not true. It can only go to 0, but it can go as high as it wants. But coupled with the fact that it seemingly takes an unbearable amount of that same skill to hold on to the money, it can cause many people to lead astray. So I'm going to simplify that a little bit. Basically, all I'm saying is when you go to enter into a trade, right, don't think that just because you have all this TA or all this, time in the market or skill, that it's going to work. This is a, concept that we've talked about many times over in these live streams, but I want to really reinforce it with it just blatantly saying right in front of you, it takes 0 skill to win a trade. However, to hold on to that money, that's where the skill kind of comes into, and that's what we're going to go over today on the skill side of it. So next, what is the skill that's required? And I've got a few little common things that I'm sure you've heard terms before, patience, technical analysis, luck, risk management, and then a few at the bottom that are, specific ways to trade, DCA. Are you buying into a losing position, hoping that it goes back up and you can, get a more sizable return? Scalping, are you in and out real quick? High R to R. Do you believe low win rate or even 50-50 win rate, but getting super high returns on those winners? Is that the way to go? Right. So any single one of these, hopefully you're familiar with and have some level of expertise in, right? You know what you're looking at on the chart, right? You can sit through times of drawdown. You understand that it is luck-based. It's probability-based. Like, all these are important, but I feel like a lot of people put some of these on a pedestal that they really don't deserve to be on. Okay, so let's try into the next one. Just ask yourself, what is important to you? Technical analysis or mental analysis, right? So I'm going to pause on this one for a minute, and we'll go over technical analysis really quick. So all of you are aware this is, anything you put on the charts, see within the charts that you can, quote unquote, predict the future outcome of, right? So I'm going to switch over to my, reality, I forgot to ask, if I switch my stream over, will it mess up your stream? I'm just going to change windows, so it should just be good, right?
Let's see. Go ahead and swap it and see what happens.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to change it on over to Trading View. Let's see.
I see.
Mess anything up?
Nope.
Perfect. Perfect.
I see
Okay, excellent. That's
crazy.
what I was hoping for. Okay, so going over this real quick, right? When I talk about, what I started this stream with, some of the basic concepts, but looking at it through a different light, right? Decoding market structure. We'll just take this blanket screen. This is today, right? We are on the 5-minute, right? Just random chart kind of on the micro NASDAQ futures. So I'm going to place a level at about here. Okay. I feel like this is a fairly respected level. You can see we had it perform as support over here, broke through, act as resistance. Hold below this level, doesn't quite touches here, comes back over, and then right where we had a little bit more volume today, wicks up and then back down, and now we are just breaking it. So what I mean by looking at this through a different light is instead of simply saying, okay, we're going to buy here because it's coming into it, or we're going to short here because it's below it, right? Or short here, or we're going to, hopefully it breaks. Instead of looking at it through any of those lights, take a second, right? Look for extra confluences. And I talked to Reality about this a few days ago about, the way he trades. And I'm not going to go over his strategy or anything just because I'm not super confident with it. But some of the key points with it is, if we take something like this right here, where we have this strong wick, read into this more. Don't just say, well, it rejected the resistance level. Why did it reject the resistance level? Pulling back just a little more, we can see, okay, little bundle of consolidation, a little bit of a range, comes up, breaks this high. We're coming back up. This wick right here, I would say that this is the opposite down here of this wick up here. So we can read into this and say, okay, well, it came down. We wicked the bottom down here, and then it rejected harshly with a strong push straight back up to the top. So like I said, I sat through this live today, so I can tell you exactly what happened here. We were in this candle right up here. This red candle opened up here at the high. It dropped, pushed real strong, and then as soon as this one closed, it plummeted straight back down here. And all those people that were back in this range and wanted to push it back up, this is where they got filled. So we had a bunch of buyers get filled out here, push this back up. So that means all the sellers in this general area where we had here, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. We can see it a little better. Clean this up, go here. So we have this new level right here after it broke the range. These sellers came down. They saw that it broke the level. They entered, and their stop losses are going to get put up here or somewhere in this range, and we can assume that it's going to be over the highs as a confident level. And everybody pushed down, and the reason we had this huge flip back up is we had a transition from the sellers getting a good strong push, they sold, as well as buyers seeing it reject, start to enter and fill those orders as we push back to the top. A little bit more of consolidation, but we know that the buyers won this little charade because it pushes back up high. And they had the inverse happen up here. So the sellers made their money down here, or lost if they entered too late, sold or got stopped out. Buyers came up. The exact same thing happened here. The buyers sold, or it came back down, got stopped out, which pushes it back down here. Holds this level in the middle of this previous range, and we push back up. So if we're looking at what we know back here, and instead of just saying, well, it's up at resistance, so I'm going to short it, right? Or, oh, it came back down to support, so I'm going to long it. Either one of those are viable, but what happens if we do it right here? Right? We don't know what's going to happen next, so that's why we involve what the other players are doing. So when I say something like decoding market structure, right? This is looking into it from the perspective that you have to think, what are the other traders thinking? What are they seeing? We still, and real quick, I'm going to switch back over to my slideshow, change windows. All right, so we're still talking about all these skills that are outlined here, right? Patience is a big one, especially for the strategy I'm showing, because we have to say, okay, well, instead of just doing what we're taught, which is, short at resistance and buy at support, we're waiting, see what the other players in the market are doing. Maybe they think that this level is about to break, because the market's never wrong. The market cannot be wrong. You can't change it. Just because you think it's supposed to go one way, if it goes the other way, you were wrong, the market was right. Right? If it goes the way you think, the market's right, you're also right. This is a lose-lose game when it comes to trying to be right all the time. Okay, guys? And it's involving TA and luck. right? Luck's important to understand that even if everything lines up, you think everything's there, sometimes, hey, maybe news hits and you get stopped out of nowhere and then it pushes in your direction. Everything was right, even the bias was right, but news hit and you got stopped out, right? Things like that, these are going to happen. Okay, so hopefully, we're getting a little bit deeper into that, thinking what the other players are doing, right? Talking about decoding that market structure, understanding that it really does take zero skill to just win a trade, but to keep that consistency long term, that's when we have to think about it a little deeper and understand that these aren't algorithms that are trading the entire market, it's people. Sure, there are algorithms that are involved. Most of the higher up hedge funds, they do use algorithms, but at the end of the day, it is still people that are moving the market. And it's retail traders that are looking at things like support and resistance, that when their trade doesn't hit, meaning they short at resistance, and it decides to flip over that line, that's when you have to start asking, oh, okay, well, are the breakout traders about to win? And if you want to add an extra level of confidence to it, so the resistance breaks, right, comes up, and instead of just trying to buy the breakout, look to see if that breakout candle flips. If it can flip back into that area, we know it's still holding. So all those buyers are then going to get stopped out, and we're looking for a volume push. If there's no volume, how can we be sure that it was really a breakout, right? Involving more than just, oh, it's at this level, I'm going to short, or oh, my entry candle set up, or my price action set up, it's there, so I'm going to enter. Look at a little bit bigger picture. Okay, so back to this one, mental analysis, right? That's what I'm going over. It's we've used the term discipline before, right? This is a little different, right? Mental analysis is going to be exactly what I'm talking about, and it's thinking about what the other players are doing. It's not all about, well, I'm going to have my strategy do this, and I'm going to aim for this TP, and I'm going to get out here if I get stopped out. Like that's great. That's a great way to trade. But there gets to be a point when that's a bit redundant, and when it's all about me, and my strategy, my take profit, my stop loss, when you have no influence over the market, that doesn't make sense. Why would you put everything around what you think is going to happen when the only person that's right all the time is the market? Again, not saying that we can always predict the market. I'm saying if we can try and figure out what the other players are doing, we can start to see the bigger picture. So moving forward, technical analysis, right? We just kind of talked about it. These little pictures or screenshots that I have below, these were trades that I took. They're examples of my strategy. Excuse me. But we can see on the first one, that one on the left, right? I want to go into this one specifically, right? So tall green candle, we can see, I believe that was the open candle. So bottom left picture we're talking about, strong open candle, comes up, wicks down. Next candle that opens, pushes down, rejects. Right, so again, this is another example of we had buyers enter the market right at market open, right? So we know the bias for the day is green, at least for that short little 5-minute time span, it's been green. And then that gets we get to be more confident in the fact that it's going to be biased towards green because that red candle shoots down and then pulls right back up to almost be a doji candle and closes above that M4 level, followed by another green candle that does the exact same thing where it pushes down, rejects, pushes back up. So not only do we have open candle bias green, following candle pushes down and rejects harshly, so the buyers are killing, and then the third candle, once again, we have killed all those short sellers. So anybody who has tried to short this market, meaning fill the gap on that first open green candle, they have been stopped out not once, but twice now. They don't want any part of this. The buyers take over. We get to ride it way up and get TP right underneath that final resistance level that you can see above there, right? So this is kind of what I'm talking about, where my setup candles are still there. That's still my entry. But we think about it a little deeper, right? And start to apply these things. So the next screen that we can see next to it.
Hold on, Landon.
Oh.
That
What's
first, wrong? No, nothing's wrong. First off, Aiken said amen. And then he said, he just said amen. Anyway, you said that first candle on the bottom left was the open 9:30 candle, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Now, just to put this in context for you too, 9:30, so that was your 30-minute close with the top wick. Next candle, the 30-minute opens would be the red candle. It pushed down, put a bottom wick, and then your entry was at the flip of the highs. So all that was a top wick, closed above, bottom wick, flipped, and drove. That's exactly my trade entry. Just putting it out there. So that would have been a 30-minute close, that first candle. If that's 9:30, that would have been a 30-minute close with a top wick. And then the next candle opened up, which would be the red candle there, put a bottom wick, and then you entered on the flip of the high of the current 30-minute candle, essentially. Even though that's a 5-minute chart, you see that, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes,
Beautiful.
yes. And that's
Beautiful.
why I chose this one in hopes.
I love it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. I'm glad that you can offer anything that you can. Yeah, no. And then moving on to this one right next to it. Let me see if I can. Does that? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Well, it'll be all right. We can see it plenty big right there. So this next one that I put next to it. Right, I just kind of put it there as an example of out of those two. So you can see the two arrows that I have pointing, right? Both are the exact same setup. Hopefully everybody can kind of see that. I know it's a little small. Maybe, I know it's not going to let me. Anyways, the first one, right, it's same setup as before. This is a different day as the other picture, but you have that green candle, strong open. That's also the open candle. Yep, followed by a red candle, followed by a green candle. So it's not as prominent as the first picture that we can reject that bottom, right? It's definitely not as prominent. We're not getting those two doji candles, and we definitely don't have that strong top wick on the first candle. So we're missing that. But then to add to it, we have an unfilled fair value gap below it, as you can see outlined in that pink and green box. So we don't have any strong, rejections towards the top, but we also have something below that's going to drive us to maybe it's going to go lower. But again, in our favor, it moves up, pulls back down, and that would have been about a break-even trade for me right there. It pulls down to, just about break-even for me on there. Now that next trade, I know it's even harder to see, but we can see it comes up. We have that strong runner of green candles that were in the first trade. And then we get followed by one pullback, two pullback. And if you watched our introduction to the RV, my strategy, if you watched that live stream, it's probably a while back now. I think that was before the new year. But if you watch that, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I say followed by a bunch of green candles and then two pullbacks into that third one. Right, that third pullback not only fills that previous fair value gap that we had created there. It's smaller than the other one, but it's still there. Right, so it fills that gap. But we also know that it's a stronger pullback. It touches the previous high, so that open candle high, that's going to create a level for us. Bounces, and then it pushes up. We've got a smaller stop loss, and we push the higher. So, again, this is not an example of I'm telling you, well, you shouldn't take the first trade, you should take the second. I'm not saying that at all. If it were me, and I believe, this was a while back. I don't know if I took these two specific trades, but if I was put in this position, I would have taken both of those trades, a break even followed by a win. That aligns with my strategy. However, it is good for you guys to start to think if you're getting to a stage in your trading where you're seeing consistent returns, right, and you're ready to kind of level up to the next step. Try to look for these things. Look for a little bit more than just your entry or your setup, right? So we're always looking to improve little by little, nothing crazy, not change everything about our strategy, but add those extra confluences and think, okay, well, if we know off the open, it pushed strong, but we don't really have that much of a bias for it to go higher, right? It's kind of just, it went up a lot and then it showed a red candle, then a green candle, right? That's great. But then the next one, oh, cool, we have, 5 green candles in a row, and then 2 pullback candles, comes into that level, fills the fair value gap, and then we get that push. To me, that looks like a better trade, just, before you even see the profit, just seeing what happens to the precursor. So, moving on. Mental analysis, again, I think we already talked about it plenty. I've just got this kind of thrown into, come back to it, from technical to mental. Listen. It's important that you stay disciplined. It's important that you have a strong psychology. Any of these buzzwords that we hear people use far too much. However, this is truly the separation of making money. Again, zero skill to make any money. Zero skill. It takes none. It is the exact same as going to the roulette table, putting it on black, and saying, I hope I win. Right? That's a singular trade. Right? Take zero skill. You can add skill to it and increase your odds, of course. Right? But as far as actually just winning or losing a trade, zero skill. But then keeping the money, right? It's where it matters. If you know the odds of roulette, right? I believe it's like 47, 48% if you've got double zero, and then it's worse than that if you got triple zero, right? You know that with those odds, you can't win over the long term, aka you can't keep the profit, right? If you go to something like the blackjack table and you know how to count cards, well, now you can increase your odds. Even though the game is set against you, your odds are 4.5%, or the house odds are 4.5% in their favor, right? The odds of you actually keeping the money just playing blackjack are pretty low. But if you could place something in your favor, right? The more you can place in your favor, you can grow that edge, or you can play advantage blackjack. That's how we keep the money. We do it over a long span of time, and we put little things in our favor, right? We put little things like I'm showing here. My entry setup, it works. If you just trade that entry with one green that breaks the previous high, followed by a pullback, right? If you just trade that, you will win. I promise. You do it long enough, it's going to win. But you start adding these little things, well, you win a little more. You can compound a little more. And when drawdown months or weeks or, even several months start to hit, you've got more bankroll that you can start to just, sit more comfortable on, okay? Now, I believe, okay, so that's the last slide I got in there. Really quick, I'm going to let everybody, if anybody has any questions or anything they'd like to add, now is the time to do it. Reality, are we getting anything?
No, not quite yet. Does anybody got any questions, guys? We got a lot more people tuned in. We got 6 on YouTube and 1 over on Twitch. And got any questions, guys? Hello, Lavana Lava. Welcome, welcome.
But yeah, so, I know this is a little, pretty much same theme as what I like to keep on. I whenever I do these lessons, I try to make them on something that I just haven't seen online or like specifically, and hopefully this got you guys just thinking about your strategies in particular. But again, the big picture is always the same. If your strategy works, don't change it, right? It's okay to improve over a little bit over a long period of time. Like months, right? Make sure I wouldn't touch a strategy unless you can profit with it for an entire year. And then even still, right, if you're getting really good returns, why change it? But if you're not getting great returns, but you are profitable, that's when I say, okay, well, if you're only averaging, I don't know, like 1 to 2 R to R, or if you're risking 1% of your account, if you're doing 1 to 2% of your account, day trading, that's when I say, like, okay, well, maybe try to add in a couple more of these confluences and back test them for several months, right? Make sure it works. Make sure you're not, struggling with anything. Like if you have to draw levels on the chart, that can be very difficult for some people, because when you go to actually trade it, maybe you don't trust those levels you drew. That was something I struggled with. So I just went back to having a indicator put the levels on the chart for me, right? It helped me. Sure, maybe they might not be as accurate if I did them myself. However, on a mental side of it, I just don't trust those levels as much unless it's an indicator day. Like that's just a personal thing that, over time I'm sure I'll get better with. But, think about these things, guys. Reality, just one more time. Nothing in the chat right now?
Yeah, I'm commenting back. Aiken says, doing good, L, keep it up. And I'm commenting back currently to Lavanya Lava. We trade futures every day on the live streams, but we do have Forex traders that follow along as well. I was just typing it up for you. He was asking if it was Forex or not.
Gotcha. Well, no, trading futures, but yeah, like I said, I believe everything is fractal in the markets. If you take one strategy and bring it over to a different market, and you might make a little adjustments, but these principles that I'm going over do absolutely, like, they work in every market, because it's the same people trading every market. They want to make money, and typically they're trading the same strategies. But all right then, I see we got, for some reason my streamer mode's There we go. We got Forest Boy. He's typing in the chat. Wait for him. And then after that, I'm going to have to peace out. I trade stocks, but still finding educational value with all the content here. Thank you, man. I do appreciate that. Like I said, that's another thing that I do think of before I write up these lessons. I try not to make them super specific in just futures or even worse, my trading, right? Because that's not going to help you guys. I don't expect all of you to trade my strategy. But also not too broad. I don't want to show up here and, just tell you the same things every single week, even if some of them might get a little redundant. I try to spice it up. But again, thank you, Reality, for hosting today. It's always a pleasure. We'll be back here next week, Thursday, 1:30. And one more big announcement. If you guys haven't already, please check out the YouTube channel. There are 2 videos now that have been posted. The most recent one, just trying to get better and better with the editing. If you guys have any comments, do it. Please leave it on that video, watch it, like, subscribe, all that great stuff. But I'm going to leave you guys now. Like I said, I'll see you guys during the week, and if I hop in the live streams.
All right. Appreciate it, Landon. Absolutely. Very good. Great job, as always.
Thank you. But, yeah, that's all for me, guys. Thank you again. Have a good one.
Hold on, guys. Let me swap this. All right, Lavanya Lava. What do you mean how? All you got to do is show up to the show up right here to the channel. Just subscribe to the channel if you want. You can subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, and as soon as we go live tomorrow morning, we'll be here. You subscribed, yeah, so just hit the notification bell and we'll be here live. You can join the Discord. We're in there all the time. I mean, however you want to follow along. Whatever works best for you. But right here is fine. Right here on YouTube works perfect. That's where everybody normally shows up at, and we just we live stream on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, Rumble, and on Discord 5 days a week. So, and I do live trading and everything else. You'll see if you look at any of the previous live streams. If you subscribed, you can look at all the rest of the channels there, and or all the rest of the live streams from the past. Same thing. But yeah, we'll be back first thing tomorrow morning. I don't know what time zone you're in, but normally we start around 6-ish New York time. So, and then it's closed mic until New York Open, and I open the mic for New York Open. Yeah, so I don't know what time that is your time. I'm not sure, but either way, if you get the notifications, it'll ping you when I go live. All right, I appreciate you showing up. Aiken, have a great day. Lavanya Lava, have a great day. I hope to see you back tomorrow morning. Everybody else, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, Rumble, Discord. I think we had some people in Discord. Who all do we have here, guys? Alright, guys, have a good one. Yeah, absolutely. And, as always, guys, stay consistent out there.